let's talk about the last offensive drive for Texas. And honestly, one of the only criticisms I have for Sark in this matchup, I think, and there's obviously another angle to it, and you can debate it. And I think E made a really good point about Oklahoma and the personnel that they were using at the time. They were tired, and Texas did not want them to have the opportunity to sub, so Texas didn't sub. But they also wanted to exacerbate that advantage. All right, and they wanted to make sure they can wear out Oklahoma, so they went up tempo.
Drive started at 4:49 of the fourth quarter run.
Yeah, they went up tempo
on the 13-yard line.
And I think they were doing good up until, like I said, after that Xavier Worthy 12-yard reception. It was on 2nd and 10, I believe. Maybe it was 12, 11, somewhere around there in terms of the yardage. But it was 2nd and 10. They got the first down. And that's when they started to kick
11-yard pass.
Yes.
It ended up at the Oklahoma 35-yard line with on a first down.
And that's when they kicked up the tempo.
Yep.
That's when they start to kick up the tempo a little bit. And I go, oh, okay, we're going up tempo. They see something they like. Usually when you go up tempo like that and you change it mid-drive, you see something you like, you don't want the defense to change it, and you want to attack it. And they did. They did a good job of that. They were moving the ball. There's no question. And there was some injuries in the secondary for Oklahoma. Hell, Key Lawrence, they moved him out the corner. I get exactly why Sark was doing what he was doing. My only criticism is, if you go look at after the X-Man reception, I'll give you the times that was left on the play clock when they snapped the football. Next play, 28 seconds left on the play clock. That was a 1st and 10. Another 1st and 10 because they get the first down there. 28 seconds left on the play clock again. Then they get 2nd and 1, somewhere around there. 27 seconds left on the play clock. Another first down. 23 seconds left on the play clock when they snap the ball. Then they get 2nd down. There's 24 seconds left when they snap the football. There's another first down, and they get 34 seconds left. And I believe that may be the sack one you were talking about, E, and 34 seconds left when they snap the football there. So I'm not saying don't take advantage of the weakness that your opponents are obviously displaying there, whether it be an injury or whether you just like the coverage you saw, you just like see the fact that they're just tired and worn out. Go get it. Go after it. Guys, you telling me you couldn't have milked 5 to 7 more seconds off of every one of them downs that really have made that much of a difference? 5 to 7. If you milk 5 more seconds off of those downs, that's 30 seconds right there. Instead of 28, take it down to 23. Instead of 27, take it down to 22. I'm not asking you to take it all the way down to 5 to single digits. But I mean,
get it down to 15.
You got to be thinking at that point, if you're paying attention to the game, you don't want Dylan Gabriel to get the ball back. You got to be able to think about 2 things at once as a coach. I'm sorry. You can't just be like, all right, offense, guys, go offense. You got to be thinking about the defense too. You got to be. That's your job. You talk about complimentary football all the time. I don't talk about complimentary football when you ain't thinking about the other side of the ball. You got to be. Dylan Gabriel's playing the game of his life. We all saw it. You had 3 quarters of data telling you this guy is balling. He's playing the game of his life, and we can't stop him. Don't give him the ball back with that much time. Probably still would have got the ball back, but not with 77 seconds left on the clock. So my thing is, I think you could have milked a little bit more time. Not saying milk it all the way down, but guys, that's 6 downs in a row where you're snapping the football with at least 28, 28, 27, 23, 24, 34. Come on, man. It's a game of inches. I don't feel like, man, that's being nitpicky. That's your job.
No.
Your job is to manage the clock. That's part of your job.
I think it's a very fair criticism. I will also say the critical play there was on that first down. Well, second down, no huddle Quinn pass to Xavier Worthy, 11 yards, so first down. And then on that first down play, Jacob Lacey broke through and beat the center, Connor Robertson, and sacked Quinn for a 4-yard loss. So now it's 2nd and 14, and this is where I think your point was made. They should have milked more clock before now, and now you're in a 2nd and long situation with the clock on your mind and getting yourself back into field goal range, right? Because that sack puts you back at the 38-yard line. So now you're over 50 yards for a field goal. So Oklahoma then took a timeout after the sack. Texas ran one more play, hit Xavier Worthy for 3 yards. Then Oklahoma took a timeout on 3rd and 10, thinking to give themselves some time to get the ball back. Then they run the ball with Jonathan Brooks for 6 yards. And then Texas took a timeout to think about, do we want to go for this on 4th and 4, or do we want to kick the Burt Auburn field goal? They kicked the field goal. Only thing I can defend Sark on at all with that, everything you just said, Rod, is right in the rant. But Texas had stopped Oklahoma on the 3 previous drives. and had gotten control of it. But you're right. A 2-minute drill is not what you want with Dylan Gabriel at this point of the game. So they kicked the field goal with 1:22 on the clock. That was too much time. Here's Sark after the game when asked about late game momentum.
Yeah, no, I think that, momentum is a delicate thing, and when you have momentum, it's great. And it can take a couple plays, and literally they hit 2 passes to start that drive, and they were already across the 50. And so they felt the momentum swung quickly in their favor. They made a couple throws and a couple catches, broke a couple tackles, and then they get the pass interference call down there, right about the 5 or 6 yard line. That the momentum swung that quickly. They were in their crowd area and the things of that nature. So that was unfortunate because we had the momentum. It was a difficult deal. To go back to Quinn's question, because it's kind of not fair to ask him that when he's not calling it and he's on the field. So we were trying to go score. We were trying to make sure we had the last possession. The second down call there, we had called an RPO, and we were blocking the run. Quinn was getting ready to throw an RPO, and the guy came off and made the sack. So at that point, it put us in a 3rd and long. With like about a minute and something left, and I wanted to ensure we were in good field goal range, because if I throw a pass there and it doesn't work out, now we're out of field goal range, and ultimately to get the lead and to try to win the game, that's what we're trying to do. So we ran the ball there on 3rd down, and we got to 4th and 4. And then you got to make that decision, and to get a lead was what we tried to do. We tried to draw them off to see if that could keep us on the field. It didn't work, and then we kicked the field goal. So the mindset shifted on one play, really. I think all along was we're going to finish the game with the ball in our possession. Whether we score, whether we kick a field goal, whatever it looks like, we were going to end the game with our possession. We got a little off kilter there after 2nd down.
Actually, was a 1st down was the sack, as a matter of fact.
No. By the way, I agree with everything after that. Once the circumstances change and you get the sack, everything he said in terms of the thought process, it's on the money. You got to get points there. He takes it. He would have some. Man, he would have scones the size of smart cars if he would have gone for it there. Threw it on 3rd down.
Yeah,
and tried to throw it. On 3rd down instead of run it just to get what he knew would be guaranteed field goal range. Some people say, hey, man, you should have thrown it there. I agree with him. I think you got to get in field goal range, and then you got to take the points at that point just to get on top, because the conversation today would be much harsher if,
if you don't get it,
if that had blown up in your face.
Game.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Because you took the lead, right? After all the mistakes and 9 penalties, and I call 4 turnovers, because I think the goal line stands a turnover.
I agree with that.
All the missed tackles. I mean, everything.
13 of them by Pro Football Focus numbers. And by the way, they missed 13 according to Pro Football Focus versus Kansas too. Just say heads up.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah, they got to work on tackling and obviously red zone come this bye week. 2 things that were really critical in that game. But, let me ask you from the defensive back perspective, because it's, everything you just said is right about leaving them 1 minute and 20 seconds, essentially. They had no timeouts.
No timeouts.
Why was it so easy? If you're going to play prevent defense, which everybody will say, prevents you from winning. Well, from my read, if you're playing prevent, that means you got extra guys back covering. Why were guys so wide open? I mean, Drake Stoops for 11 yards. Jalil Farouk, 16 yards. Then Dylan Gabriel scrambles and hits Drake Stoops for 28 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, where's the coverage?
I agree. It was interesting because, like Jalen Ford said in the postgame, they played man, and they played with their safeties high. So I'm assuming they played 2 deep man, which is 2 deep safeties, to 1 guarding each half of the field, but everybody's still playing man on their receivers downfield. And to me, it does work kind of like a prevent defense. I think the DBs were told, don't let anybody get behind you. And that's, in theory, yes, don't let anybody get, but still, go make plays on the football.
Like on the first down play when Stoops caught the ball for 11 yards, Manny Muhammad's like 12 yards off the ball.
Exactly. And I think, I want to say, because trust me, I've been in situations last minute, it's like, don't let anybody behind you. Don't let anybody get behind you. And it's like, to the young DBs, these are young DBs out there, that's what they're thinking. Nobody behind me. I did my job. If nobody gets behind me, it's like, no. No. You didn't do your job. You need to go make plays on the football. So it's almost, and I know the coaches are yelling it because they're trying to get in their head, hey, don't get beat deep. But that's always a rule for the defensive backs. I think when you got 2 deep safeties, it's more on your deep safeties to go make plays on the football deep. You ask your DBs to just go play like you always play. Like, go at your corner. Go play like you always play, man. Go play man, and I need you to go lock that dude down. If there's a big play over the top and they want to throw it deep, which, by the way, they only did like twice the whole game, which I was shocked by. We got 2 deep safeties over there to cover that area of the field. So I think I think they played scared because they were told, don't let anybody behind you. And you know how that meant mentally for a young player. I think it makes him less aggressive. It makes him play conservatively.
I mean, you started the game without Ryan Watts. Jalen Catalon was out of the game. You got a lot of young guys out there, and that's not an excuse. But at the same time, the Longhorns were on their way to telling a great story and saying that they won another fourth quarter because they really dominated the fourth quarter and come back to win that game. And we know how it ended. You needed one stop. You remember at Alabama, Ethan Burke and Anthony Hill both had big sacks in a big moment late in the game. They had a big interception in the fourth quarter. Longhorn defense really never stood up and made a big play late in that game. Offense gave them the lead, and the defense then couldn't hold it. But you're right about the clock. They shouldn't have had a minute and 20 seconds to go. And I thought they mismanaged the clock at the end of the first half, too.
I think you're right.
That allowed them to get a field goal. Because remember that 10-point swing because they got to score right before the half, and then they came out with the ball and went down and scored, right? So big 10 points, Oklahoma, right there with poor clock management. So
and they dropped the touchdown.
They did. Oh, man.
They dropped the touchdown
they
in
did
that first half, right? That could have been
at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
With like 4 seconds on the clock. That should have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come back. We'll pick it up. Steve Sarkisian now 1-1 or 1-2 now.
1-2.
3 Longhorn Oklahoma games.
It feels like he should be undefeated, right? He had the big lead. He had the largest collapse in Texas football history in the first year,
and the biggest blowout,
and then the biggest blowout the next year, and then now he loses in the last final 77 seconds of the game.
All right,
wow, it's brutal.
We'll talk about it. Better team won that game on that day. OU was more prepared and better coached and more physical than the Longhorns. Their quarterback outplayed the Texas quarterback. And full credit to Brett Venables and his staff. I think all college football fans, certainly Longhorn fans, hoping they meet again at the Big 12 Championship in Arlington coming up in early December. That would be a lot of fun.